welcome to Purdue at Westgate. I know a lot of you probably haven't been here before, so we appreciate you coming. We are in the middle of nowhere, so we do know that. We know that we have to make it very appealing to you to come. So we're happy that you came today. So we're Purdue at Westgate. Like I said, my name is Samantha Nelson. I'm the program manager, so I help facilitate events like this. Other team members that are here is Morgan Tavis. She's the marketing communication manager. She actually makes all the flyers and all the social media and everything look pretty for us to send out. Jason Sahlstrom is our director. Not sure where he was. He just brought in some chairs for us, so I appreciate him being here. One thing that we do want to mention, and Morgan is a big part of this, is the newsletter. So the events like this are in the newsletter. So if you are not on our newsletter list, please get with her afterwards. If you RSVP'd, you have the opportunity to say if you wanted to be on that distribution list or not. So we captured that information. But if you didn't RSVP and want to be part of what we're doing in the future, please let Morgan or myself know. We at Purdue Westgate, kind of what we're doing here, we're a resource that we want to create competitive advantage and foster growth and help attract talent within our defense contractors and within the region here. So that's kind of what we're wanting to do as we create these types of events. So just a little bit about the Westgate Crane Tech Park. If you haven't been here before, this is just a small piece. This particular building is 64,000 square feet. We have a conference center that can seat 800 people. We also have about 800 plus employees in the tech park, as well as over 60 plus defense contractors, a couple other industries, and there is about 17 buildings. So this is a pretty large area. We're less than a mile of the Naval Weapons Support Center, so the gate is right down the street from here. Today's presentation with ManTech and Issiah Santos will be about 45 minutes to an hour long. There'll be some Q&A after that, and then we will go into the lobby where we'll have some light refreshments, drinks, and some light foods. Radius Indiana, if you're familiar with them, they have sponsored that, so we really appreciate them taking part in that. The presentation will be recorded and the slides will be available. So we will send those to all that have RSVP'd. But again, if you haven't RSVP'd, please let us know if you'd like to receive those, and we'll get your email and contact information. So just a couple things about ManTech, and they've got a lot of things. You can go on their news releases and see all kinds of things. But they're an international company that serve defense, federal, civilian, and intelligent markets located out of Herndon, Virginia. They have a large presence within the tech park. I believe they have a 72,000 square foot facility, to be exact. In 2019, they launched an R&D warfare lab to develop advanced weapon system and cyber warfare capabilities. 2021, they acquired Griffin Technologies, was a defense contractor that was here within Westgate. 2022, they were awarded a $118 million contract to support NSWC Crane with innovative technology solutions that will advance intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance for a range of unmanned aircraft systems. So I'd like to introduce you to Issiah Thomas. He's the Director of Spectrum Warfare for ManTech. He's responsible for the management and execution of ManTech's NSWC Crane Spectrum portfolio. So thank you, Issiah.
Welcome. My name's actually Issiah Santos. I don't think
You
said Issiah Thomas.
I did? Why did you not correct me? Oh my gosh.
So welcome. My name's Issiah Santos. I'm the Director of Spectrum Warfare for ManTech. I've been to a number of these events, and every time I leave one of these events, I've built a customer contact. I've learned about a customer roadblock, and I learned of industry capabilities. So I see a strong value in meetings like this. So let me go ahead and get started here. The first slide we're going to talk about is ManTech facilities. We just built a pretty large facility here at Westgate. And as you can see from some of the pictures here is our warehouse space. We have 25,000 square foot of warehouse and storage space. We also have available space to do some supply support, equipment storage, and off to the side we have available space if we need to do any type of tear down analysis or restoration build-ups. We also have 4 labs at our facility, 1,300 square foot each. 2 are currently uncommitted. We also have a collaborate lab. We call it the Google lab, is what Google put it together.
Google did the design.
So we went to Rose-Hulman, we went to Purdue to talk to new engineers, try to get some internships, try to attract that young talent. And I talked about this Google room. It has a couch, TVs, whiteboards, and the young talent really thought that was really cool. Me personally, I sat down in this chair and I couldn't get back up, but they thought it was a pretty neat place. Also, in our facility, we have 2 integration labs. That's 2,500 square foot, and they're currently being used right now in our facility. We have conference rooms. That's a huge need out of here at Crane. We have a large conference room that can seat what, Dave, would you say close to 50?
It's at 50.
Is that 50? We also have 2 collaboration rooms where they're touchscreen TVs. So if our industry partner, if we have a government customer that wants to come out and do training, we can easily support that. ManTech facilities. This is the top space of our building. It's 22,000 square foot, basically built to however you want to build. We left it blank for a reason. We wanted the government to come in or an industry partner to come in and say, you know what, this is what we need, build it from the ground up. You can use additional labs. It can be more training space, office space. My idea of a golf simulator and putting green was shot down. So, any questions on facilities?
I'll speak up here a little bit. In the back of our storage facility, we have the EMP warehouse section off a little bit on that fourth government, so it's going to go to control of government. What you don't see there is a lot of this, well, some of the space is already taken. It's just not out there yet. So I think we got 4 of the 6 labs filled with a potential 1 more coming on board. But like you said, we got upstairs, we got 25,000 square foot of build to suit, whether we fill it or our partner fills it or the government fills it, that'll be determined, but it will get filled.
So with the current tasking that I'm managing as Director of Spectrum Warfare, we have current tasking supporting Spectrum. We operate on multiple different vehicles from DTEC to Seaport. Some of the tasking that we're currently supporting is the MMR, the Sea Giraffe AMB, the multi-mode radar. This is one of the tasks that we're supporting where we're utilizing best practices of MBSE and basically developing block definition diagrams, internal block diagrams, and basically putting together, is it the AOA that we're trying to build on this?
Yeah, that wasn't really an AOA. We did a report, we did a reverse engineering. So we took apart all of the hardware for the MMR radar, documented it, put together a technical data package, and then put together an assessment of how hard it would be to go through and reverse engineer or find sources for supply.
The next task is our SPY-6. The objective of this effort is basically to do testing, troubleshooting capabilities, and this was for the AOA, set up the depot level maintenance capability. This is kind of fairly new. We're starting this up, but we're pretty excited about this type of task. The ATFs, this is the auto tune filters. Using our teaming partners on our contract, we're trying to streamline the fabrication process to reduce the time and cost per unit for this support. Our TI-16, this is the Aegis Combat System support. We're utilizing our engineering team, our procurement team, developing gap analysis, and AOAs being built. Additionally, we're developing a test stand for the analysis and repair. Is there anything else, Ken, you want to add on the TI-16?
Yeah, so TI-16, it's coming in, we're getting parts, and we're going through, looking at them, figuring out what the requirements are going to be. And then we're gonna be putting together a report and making a recommendation on what we need to do in order to stand up a depot for the Navy.
Our Slick 32 work, this is something that we've managed for a while, actually supporting WXP, the radar division. We're providing electronic repair support. This is a lot of the SCA type positions, hands-on, a lot of potting, J standard 7711 certifications that are needed. But it's working on the RANTEC A8, RANTEC A5, TWTs, the traveling wave tubes, and the high voltage power supplies. You want to talk some about your capabilities?
Sure. Greg West, I'm Director of Advanced Capabilities for ManTech. We're kind of the hub of all the digital engineering and the technology and innovation that goes in to support the other directors like Issiah has over Spectrum or any of the other groups. So we work with industry, work with technology partners, and we solve problems, come up with solutions. We are the baseline for the MBSE development work. We have the cyber ranges, small drones, tactical drones, imagery, those types of things that we take to that next step within the group there. Let's see what we got on here. Quick look. We do have the typical A&A teams, cybersecurity. We've got Navy, Marine Corps, validators. We do specialize a lot in swap C. We can put a lot of horsepower in something very small. If you're familiar with like IT cyber racks and get into those spaces, we can take 5 full production racks, put them in something about a cubic foot, give you redundancy, a 110 plug, and an air filter for dirt. So those are the types of things that this team does. They can do cradle to grave for system engineering, software support, development for counter UAS, cross-domain solutions, those types of things. The digital engineering capabilities is really the foundation of a lot of the things. So your cyber stems off of it, things, but digital engineering is where we can bring the cyber and the model-based system engineering and a lot of the older legacy types of technologies and kind of bring them in and get everything talking and working together. The reverse engineering aspects, being able to take JTAGs and pull firmware off chips and things of that nature so that we can understand what happened when the Navy originally bought this thing 40 years ago, but they didn't bother to pay for the blueprints of the rights. So we have the ability to take everything from a SSS document, a design document, a concept. We can actually digitally create those systems or hardware pieces in a digital element. And one of the things that we try to help with customers and things is, you know, a lot of the times by the time you go through the planning process and you buy the hardware and it shows up, especially with today's shortages, it's obsolete or it's not going to work or it's not going to meet the life cycle expectation, or you load all the software on it and all of a sudden you miss the mark. You spend all your money and you don't have what you need. So we can actually create these environments digitally. We can do all that testing and you can actually begin your work on development, integration, and other things prior to even making that first physical purchase. So we can actually speed up the process through the acquisition steps, but we can also help make sure that when you get there and you're ready to move over and deploy, that you've made the right choices for hardware, software, peripherals, things of that nature. One of the differentiators between us and other types of environments is when you do your work in here and you start software development, you start integration testing, when your physical hardware shows up, you can actually bring this out of that digital realm, plug it into the physical stack, and it doesn't know it wasn't a real boy. It fires right up. There's no rework. There's no having to go back and format things and translate files. It doesn't know it. Pull it out, you plug it in, it's ready to go.
So, well, Craig, let's give them a couple of examples of how we leverage that environment to.
Like the Triton.
Yeah, just
so one of our projects is the Triton MQ-4C ground, the ground segment, the ground control segment. One of the things we did, it's 3 big racks. There's a secret, top secret side to it. When the pandemic hit, obviously to be able to do that work, to continue to keep that program going, you either needed to be able to be in a lab or find some other way to do it. So we digitally twinned the entire environment, and we were actually able to do about 7 software releases through the pandemic, doing it in the digital environment. We actually improved timelines and were able to solve a little over 300 engineering flaws that we may not have been able to get to working with it in the physical world. We have some other examples in the radar realm. We came up with a concept of a small individual device that could serve as a maintenance, troubleshooting, and conditioning type analogy tool. But instead of a guy having to look 12 Pelican cases and cables and everything, we put everything in a 28-pound 3-screen laptop. So they could actually go out, plug in, touch any type of radar system, and instead of having to pull it off a vessel, ship it off, and get it conditioned, is it ready to be seaworthy again? Does it have to be restored? You can make that determination right there on the vessel and save the time of shipping something off that's perfectly good that has to come back certified to be there. We did some work with a couple of the drone groups that have larger chassis. They needed to take an existing chassis. They wanted to get a little bit more flight time. They wanted to get a little more elevation or something out of it. So we went in and we used some of our technology that's based on what we call Atlas. It's a cyber range, if you will, in the digital engineering group. And we were able to swap out a lot of hardware and a lot of processing and turn it into a digital environment. And we were able to take that existing chassis, existing power plant, and extend the flight time and some of the other capabilities of the chassis without having to reinvest in the architecture for command and control and a lot of the sensors and things.
And can you talk about the small UAV stuff that you guys have been doing?
So small UAVs is something we've really latched onto. We're doing a lot of work with first responders, NIST, SOCOM, and a couple other groups. We have developed autonomous 3D flight and 3D mapping in real time so that the operator can be back there and in real time, this drone will fly in. It gives them a 2D, 3D map. It can help with facial recognition. It can see in the dark. They're fairly well protected. They'll take a pretty good baseball smack and still do the job. But it frees up the shooter. We can immediately render it into a HoloLens or an Oculus, and you can actually interact with that 3D space. It can be transmitted back to Intel. We've got some examples of kinetic drones that can be used for breaking contact for special operators. We have a drone that specializes in tracking and going after targets at high speed. We've got drones that can clear ranges. They use optical sensors and they can detect unexploded ordnance. We have some drones that we've done where we participated in a NIST challenge where they had 3 levels. The first one was fast find. It was whoever could find 4 bodies in a heavily foliaged area faster in a mountain range. And the second one was creating comms where there wasn't any. And the third one was a cyber defense of the drone command and control, and we won all 3 of those. We're actually doing another one right now that is a type of 3D structure mapping and things so that a first responder or maybe a military operator could look into a structure that's compromised. And, you know, on the first responder side, you're trying to decide, is there something in this structure that I need to risk a firefighter or first responder's life for? And on the DoD side, you're getting that intel you need to know what you're walking into. We can see filaments that are tripwires. We can detect thermal in the walls. We can see movement. The AI and things that processes at the edge on the drone can tell the difference between a little girl and a life-size doll. Not just using thermal, but we can actually look at the actual symmetry and textures and things. So we can help the Border Patrol wanted to be able to identify a foot hanging out from under a bush that's hiding from them. So we were able to provide that type of technology. We've integrated our small drones into the Minotaur platform to work on that battlefield picture as well. Question? back to you, Michael.
Any questions?
Thank you for your presentation. I guess as a follow-up question, do you partner with Crane to do your drone testing here, like locally here at Crane, or is that done like at other military facilities, like out on the East Coast?
So we can do some here, primarily indoor here. They get a little testy. Which are good. You've got the Jefferson Proving Ground, which is on the other side of North Vernon, where you can do drone flights. You can go to Atterbury or Muscatatuck.
Okay.
And we just recently, through our partnership with Purdue, got access to their indoor range.
Thank you.
So is the spectrum workload predominance of your work with Crane, or I'm just kind of curious about the whole of your portfolio?
Yeah, so the spectrum work that I have in my portfolio is NSWC Crane.
If you want, I can take it.
Yeah, we can.
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
So I'm Roy Streeter, I'm the executive director for ManTech for the Crane portfolio. So I can elaborate on that a little bit as far as the overarching. So within the Crane portfolio, we predominantly have, we cracked into the DTEC market, which is the IAC MAC. We support a lot out of Expeditionary. We have some in Spectrum. We have some global support via Seaport. That was already existing workload at Griffin that we absorbed during the acquisition. But currently right now within the portfolio, the predominance of our workload is within Expeditionary, supporting NavAir platforms as the main sponsor. So is that good?
Yep. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Any other questions?
Hey, Roy.
Yes.
When he was mentioning about the UAV, the drones, he said, are you guys doing the payloads, or do you have your own family of system drones?
Well, we both. We're printing, right, and building them as we go. So we deal with. We worked with a close partner for the adaptive manufacturing side of that to print the chassis and everything else. Greg and his team comes up with all the sensors integration, and we're competing in an academia environment or Vulcan challenges that we download. So what Greg was talking about, the 3 challenges that we won was NIST through K-State. We went through all those competitions last year, very successful. This year, we're in SOCOM challenges through the Vulcan portal. So that's where we're at now. Yeah. And if you have interest, Mike, please stop by. We'd love to collaborate a little bit with you.
Yeah, I will.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Do you do any of the drone operator training?
We do not.
No, I mean, we have to have Part 107 certified pilots.
Okay.
But we actually just did commercial training for them. Off the top of my head, I don't know of anybody here that does it.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
And Isaiah, you may have mentioned this, I might have missed it, but can you talk a little bit too, again, about the facility? Because I feel like I've heard that your facility is securable, potentially, up to the TSSCI level. Like, what is your ability to do classified work at the facility you have in the park?
Yeah, well, the facility that Isaiah spoke about is our new facility, and our FCL and all of our DD-254s is at the secret level.
Okay.
So we do not have the capability to go TSSCI currently. We would need some enablement there with the DD-254, and actually probably leverage that second floor of the build-to-suit would be the ideal scenario for us. Other than that, we'd have rehab. We also have a 20,000 square foot facility in Westgate 6. We incubated here back in 2018, and we got into the Westgate 6 facility, which is straight down the road at the T here, which is a 20,000 square foot. We also have 2 secret level labs. So currently, due to the confines of the DD-254, we're currently only at the secret level.
But that whole upstairs, second deck that you have at your new facility is, could be configured for secret.
Absolutely could. So there's been a lot of conversation about the enablement piece of that, and I know you and Chris have talked, and we have talked also with Building 1 too as well about that enablement. So, any other questions for us?
That's it.